Yes, team, good morning and welcome to today's training. So today we are going to talk about the D word, which is probably the most important word in your vocabulary. It's the difference between success and failure. It's the difference between winning and losing. And it's probably, I would go far as to say, the most powerful skill or trait you will ever develop. And that word is discipline. It's the reason why you are where you are. You've achieved what you have or haven't achieved what you want to without any shadow of a doubt. Now, it's not just the discipline to do the work. It's not just the discipline to do the work, even when you don't feel like it. It is categorically the discipline to say no. No to temptation, no to other people, no to distraction, no to people trying to drag you down their road, people that aren't on the same mission as you, people that aren't on a higher purpose, people that don't have goals, missions, focus, and want more out of their life. You are here because you want more out of life. You are here because you understand it's a growth-centric experience, and you're here because you want results. And I'm here this morning to tell you, without discipline, you may as well give up, because you will not get results without discipline. You will not get anything that you want in life without discipline, apart from distraction. So again, this ability to say no, and don't throw in these excuses like, oh, I'm a people pleaser and all this. You have to develop this ability to say no. There aren't people pleasers and non-people pleasers. There's undisciplined people and disciplined people. It's another one of those phrases that's thrown in, like self-sabotage and imposter syndrome and whatever BS phrase has been created in this world. Nobody hopped out of their mother and went, hey, I'm a people pleaser. And they started saying yes to everything that the nurses said. Obviously, they wouldn't say yes anyway because they were like 1 day old. But you guys get what I'm saying, right? What someone who says, I'm a people pleaser, what they really mean is, I lack discipline. Someone who says, I self-sabotage, what they really mean is, I lack discipline. Someone who says, I suffer with imposter syndrome, means I lack discipline. Someone who says, I'm a technophobe, means they lack discipline. The discipline to do the work, the discipline to put the effort in. Discipline is the key to everything. And I think every single excuse that any human could throw at me as the quantifiable reason in their head, and it is an excuse, why they are not doing the work or why they have done destructive work that's taken them further away from the goals, is that they didn't have discipline. That is it. They didn't have discipline. Everything comes down to discipline. And without discipline, you will never be successful at anything. Now, the reason it's so important, and this will actually build into what I say. So you might have heard what I just said there, and you might be thinking, well, what's discipline got to do with imposter syndrome? So imposter syndrome is this fake thing that people have created where I don't feel like I'm good enough. I don't feel like I have a right to be here. I've definitely had it in my head at points in my life. But the reality is, if you're in you either just, let's say you're in a career, or you might be someone in this group, right? Claire, I can just see you're on. You've struggled with this in the past. Jessica Corton, you've definitely struggled with this in the past. You feel like everyone is better than you. You do feel like you don't deserve to be here. And that is the thing when people will often say, well, I've got imposter syndrome. Just think of what it is, an imposter. An imposter doesn't deserve to be here. Now, if that's someone in an industry or career, it's either the fact that you've blagged it, and there's a lot of this going on in the fitness and nutrition industry, by the way, because I coach some coaches as well. It's either that they've blagged it and they don't know their shit. They don't fully know everything on nutrition. They don't know everything on training, and they're actually not great coaches because they haven't done the work. So they will suffer from imposter syndrome because essentially they're going to get caught out at some point. Now, that's one end of it. The other end of imposter syndrome, again, is just bad mind management. It's your imagination. Like, if you're here, you deserve to be here. You earned your place here. It's only your mind taking control that's leading to you feeling that way. And again, for me, it's not about imposter syndrome. It's not about not feeling that you're good enough. It's not about any of those things. Again, they are bad mind management. What it is about is either a lack of discipline to do the work, or it's a lack of confidence, developing confidence, building confidence. And this may have come from years of possibly being told you're not good enough, as I was. It might have come from years of people pulling you down, or actually telling you you don't deserve to be here, you're not good enough. So again, it's not your fault. But again, imposter syndrome isn't a real thing. It's a lack of confidence. Again, it's like fear isn't a real thing unless you're going to get really physically hurt or die. It's a lack of courage. So again, we can't be fearless because it will always exist, but we can work on building courage, building confidence, building discipline, not saying we have the things that are a result of not working on discipline, confidence. So the reason why discipline is so important, by the way, guys, I'm doing a 4-video series next week on strictly on confidence. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday are all going to be on confidence. Some of them may have to be pre-recorded. I'm in a bit of a predicament at the moment, and you are not going to be seeing this office again after 4 weeks, because I got a phone call on Friday thinking that some things in the house were going to finally be fixed after months of nagging, only to be told that the house is going on the market. And as of the 2nd of March, I need to be out of this house. So there's been loads of curveballs flown in. I'm going off on a tangent here. Random viewings from people that are coming to just traipse around the house. About 8 people were traipsing around the house last night. So sometimes lives are just going to be impossible. So I think I'm going to pre-record them as a backup, and try and plan them in early when I can. Time and schedule forgetting. But again, a little mindset lesson there for you guys. Initially, this is how you turn a situation. Here we go on a Freeman tangent. So initially, I was just like, oh my God, I've not even unpacked properly and got settled. I've only been here 4 or 5 months, and moving beds, sofas, fridge freezers, washers, dryers, and everything else in between was an absolute nightmare. Anyone who has moved house knows it's probably one of the most, I don't know what the word is, difficult and toughest things you'll ever do. And now to do it again, less than 6 months after doing it once, initially the head goes into like, oh God, really? Is this really, really happening to me? And then I turned it quickly. I'm like, right, what are the positives? What are the positives? What are the positives? Well, I don't really like this house anyway, and he's not fixed any of the stuff that needs doing. And I'm just going to go out and I'm going to find somewhere where I'm going to be happier, it'll be nicer, and it'll be better. I think I've probably already managed to do that in a few days. So again, this is this, we can see it as a disaster. We can see it as a disaster or an opportunity. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments. So that's a choice. I can have a meltdown and go, oh, why me? Why has this happened to me? Why has the landlord done this? He's an absolute arse. He obviously knew he was going to do this from the outset without a shadow of a doubt. And I feel a bit daft not to have been on the radar, because he wasn't willing to do anything to the house, even fix a blind, because he clearly doesn't want to spend a penny on it. And he also wasn't willing to do a contract more than 6 months, using this blag reason of, I'd just like to get to know the tenant and see what they're like. So I think, honestly, he's had that on his radar the whole time. So for a person to do that is a little bit out of order, but he's done it. I can't change it. It's going back to what we said on Saturday. I can't challenge it, I can't change it, and I can't control it. So I could waste energy being angry at him and stressing and having a meltdown about that I've got to move again and the incurred expenses and probably a couple of days off work to move house, and or I could just go, do you know what? I'm going to find somewhere better to live. And it might be a little bit difficult for a few days, but it will be an opening to more happiness and more development. So those 4 videos might not be live. I'm going to have to very strategically look at next week's schedule, and also look at the schedule from them, because obviously I can't be live here with people coming around to view the house. Anyway, so back to the point. The reason that discipline is so important is because it builds confidence. Now, don't worry too much about confidence, because that's what we're going to be discussing all next week. It builds motivation. It builds self-belief. And what are the 3 top reasons, bar none, that people state for not doing or getting what they want? I don't have the confidence, I don't have the motivation, and I don't have the self-belief. And then some people flip it. If only people could give me more confidence, if only somebody would believe in me, if only somebody would motivate me, then I could do it myself. So they're either sat waiting for someone else to give them things, which they shouldn't be, because those things aren't anybody else's responsibility, they're yours. Or they're hoping that these things will just, one day, some motivation is going to drop in, some confidence is going to drop in, some self-belief is randomly going to drop in out of the personal development personality tree, magic tree in the garden. And when all those things drop in, I will finally take action. That won't happen, ever. Motivation, discipline, confidence, and self-belief, motivation, confidence, and self-belief all come after taking action. After seeing results, you start to drop some body fat and you feel more confident. You start to get fitter and you feel more confident. You start to see a different you in the mirror and you feel more motivated. You start to see results and you have belief in yourself and your plan. They all come after. The thing that comes first is discipline. Discipline to do the work. When we do the work, we get the results, we get the outcomes. When we start to see some outcomes, no matter how small, and this is why your strategic confidence plan of stating 3 wins at the end of every day, which 75% of you aren't fucking doing, by the way, is so important, because it builds confidence. What were my 3 wins? What were my 3 wins? We did this on Saturday, didn't we? Pick out the gems. Stop focusing on what's not going well and start focusing on what is going well. Stop focusing on what you can't control and change and start focusing on what you can control and change. And this all comes from discipline. Discipline to do the work. And when you start to develop and become a disciplined person with fitness, nutrition, and mindset, everything else will fall into place in your life. Your children will be disciplined. You'll start to spend more time around disciplined people. And discipline actually makes you feel calm. Discipline defeats anxiety. I've never met many people that are very disciplined and very anxious, because they know what their plan is and they're disciplined towards it. So it's very clear what needs to be done when and why. So there is no room for anxiety. Anxiety comes from bad mind management and predicting a negative outcome of the future based on no evidence and not doing any work. Confidence is predicting a positive outcome of the future, or anxiety can be living too far in the past and making decisions about your future based on the past. That doesn't matter. So anxiety generally too far in the past or too far in the future. Past doesn't matter, it's gone. Future doesn't matter either. Come back today and focus on what it is that we need to do today. So it makes you feel calm, it makes you feel focused, it makes you feel inspired, and it will lead to you growing as a human. And we know if we want to have a happy life, we need to understand that life is a growth-centric based experience. If you're growing, you'll be happy. If you're not, you'll feel stuck, lost, distracted. If you're going backwards, you'll feel anxious and depressed. So being disciplined is the absolute key. Now, we only need to be disciplined one day at a time, just like everything else. But what do you need today to be disciplined? A plan. What do you need this week to be disciplined? A plan. What do you need this year to be disciplined? A plan. Because if you don't have a plan and it's not in your diary, you have nothing to be disciplined to. And if you haven't put your workout sessions in your diary for this week, you have no intention of doing them. You're leaving it into maybes, if I have time, whatever, if I feel like it, if it's not raining. That's not the actions of a disciplined person. That's the actions of a person that doesn't have a plan, doesn't give a shit, isn't really bothered, has no intention of doing the work, and they just maybe hope that things are going to work out one day. They won't. We know this. Hope is not a strategy. So discipline also is not meant to be enjoyable. So now we're back to this avoiding discomfort. Most people avoid discipline because it's uncomfortable. It means saying no. It means doing the work when you don't feel like it. And it's a daily test. Every day you will be disciplined. You will be tested on your discipline. Disciplined to say no to whatever your vices are: drink, drugs, food, pornography, gambling, aggression, anger, bad habits, being snappy, getting up late, going to bed late, skipping the gym, eating crap, and everything in between. Every single day, those challenges are going to be presented in front of you, not just on Mondays, not just on Tuesdays, every day. And then you're going to have to deal with other people saying, you don't need this. You don't need this, Jessica. Just come to the pub. You don't need this, Ciro. Fuck the gym. Let's go and watch the football. You don't need this, Bex. Let's go to this festival next week. You know, we don't only have to deal with our own difficulty with saying no, we then have to deal with people trying to pull us down to the bottom of the tree, people trying to keep us on their level. And it is hard, but everything in life is hard. I've said this before: going to the gym's hard, being fat is hard. Both options are hard. One leads to enjoyment, one leads to more pain. Choose your hard. Both options are uncomfortable. One leads to growth and a happier life. One leads to you going backwards, 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 backwards. That's it. So we have to make those decisions. Remember, that's why I've said backwards, forwards. We said this yesterday. There is no staying in the middle. There is no maintenance because time moves on. This is why, again, we have to have the discipline to do the things to do to get what we want, but we also have to have the discipline to keep going, doing them if we want to keep the things that we want. You can't work hard on your body or business for 90 days, get to somewhere, and then you're just going to stay there for the rest of the life. This is why a safety mindset is so dangerous. I told the story about Gary, my old client, and I used to say to him all the time, just like 10 years ago, I'm like, Gary, I just want to make 100K. He'd be like, what do you mean? I went, I want £100,000 in the bank account. I want to save it. I want to make it. He says, what do you want that for? And I'm like, because then I'll feel safe. It'll be like the biggest rainy day fund ever. And I know that everyone's going to be okay and everything's going to be safe. And he says, and what are you going to do when you get to that? I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, do you think you'll be motivated to go to work, or do you think you'll start taking days off? Do you think you'll keep working on your business, or do you just think, fuck that, I don't need to work today, I've got 100 grand in the bank? And he explained that to me in such a good way. He's like, when you're just concentrating on growing, then that creates safety. Trying to get into a place of safety and stay there is dangerous because other people will overtake you. Life will move on. Does that make sense? So when we're that focused on growing, imagine that, you know, I'm not focusing on getting from 15 stone to 12 stone. I'm just concentrating on never stopping and getting better and better and better and better. Because otherwise, what happens when you hit 12 stone? Then you start eating a bit of crap again. Then you start having a few drinks, and then the bad habits start come back in. Then you lose discipline. So this is why there's no final destination. This is why it's a journey, not a destination. This is why it's a process, not a prize. And we have to have the discipline to keep up what we're doing, or we're always going to go backwards. But discipline will create growth. The discipline to be giving value. Again, as I said, you know, if you want results on life, stop focusing on what you want to get and start focusing on becoming a person of value. In any area of life, the most valuable person will always succeed. The most valuable person who has discipline. But growth leads to a happier life, and it's a necessary evil on the roadmap to success. No discipline, no reward. Discipline is the key that unlocks results. Discipline is the key to happiness. Discipline will build more freedom, more impact, more results, more options, more choices. And it's what gives you the ability to build your dream life. You ain't building shit without discipline. Trust me. And it leads to an easier life. Let so many people avoid it because they're looking for an easy life, not realizing it's the key to an easy life. Train hard, fight easy. I'm having to control my mind at the moment because training's going great. I'm already starting to think, how fast can I run 200 miles? Not, can I run 200 miles? And I have to have the discipline to stop that mindset because I will burn out. But I need to train hard and fight easy so I can have the discipline to do the work now and have an easier run, or I can not do the work and have a hard run. A hard road will lead to an easy life. The struggle is where the strength is. The struggle is where the growth is. But if you are disciplined now, you will have an easier life further down the line. If you are not disciplined now, you're going to have a hard life easier down the line. Yet people are avoiding discipline because they think it's hard, not realizing it's the key to easy. Does that make sense? So if you go through your 20s to 30s with no discipline whatsoever, no discipline in your career, no discipline with food, no discipline with mindset, no discipline with training, you're going to hit 30 and you'll probably be fat, have a crap job, and you've spent the last 10 years of your life with no discipline, getting hammered every weekend, going to Ibiza, going to festivals, doing anything to avoid growing up and actually doing some work towards a life. And then how do you think your life's going to look from 30 to 40? When you're 5 stone overweight, you've got no money, you're still renting a house or living at home with your parents because you didn't have the discipline to say no to all those things. That is going to lead to a hard life. What about the person in their 20s and 30s that trains every day, exercises every day, never gains the weight, works on their career, gets on the property market, is disciplined enough to do the work? How will their life look between their 30s and 40s? Money in the bank, mortgage paid off, great career, options, freedom. You know, the person that avoided the hard because they wanted easy ended up with hard. The person that went through the hard ended up with easy. So if you're not disciplined, you're always going to have a hard life. But discipline is also self-love. Remember that. Discipline is being disciplined enough to love yourself to do the work. It's loving yourself enough to ignore the distraction and the pleasure in pursuit of the reward and the results and the success. Do you want the constant pleasure? Do you want the constant distraction? These tactics of avoidance. Like I've said this, people don't lose motivation. They get distracted. They get distracted by easy. And a man or woman who doesn't have purpose will always get distracted by pleasure. Do you think the guys that go out every weekend from Friday to Sunday, out Friday night, wake up hungover, straight to the football, drinking and getting on it all day, back out Sunday night, dying Sunday, probably go and eat their own body weight in McDonald's and then go back into Monday? Do you think these guys have discipline? Do you think they have purpose? Do you think they have drive? Do you think they're focused? No, they're all the guys that are now completely depressed and going nowhere and hate life, and they're angry and reactive and they're fighting fires because they weren't able to ignore the distraction. Essentially, it's easier to go out and get smashed every weekend than it is to say no. It's easier to stay in the dead-end job than it is to explore what other options are out there. It's easier to stay in the dead end or the toxic relationship and not go through the management of change to come out of it and start to move to a higher pleasure. So loving yourself enough to say no is part of discipline. So discipline is self-love. Discipline is a choice. You suffer the pain and the price of discipline, or you're going to suffer the pain and the price of regret. Michael Jordan's coach, Tim Glover, said that, didn't he? One of the very, very famous phrases, you know, you think the price of success is too high, then wait until you get the bill from regret, because that is generational. Do you want to go through the pain and the price of success, of work, of discipline, of saying no? Or do you want to suffer a life of regret, a life of pain, a life of being overweight, a life of being skin, a life of being addicted? Which one do you want? Because that's a choice. Go back and watch the other training. Success is a choice. Decision is a choice. You know, we go through the discipline of working on our food, our nutrition, our training, our mindset. And we go through the pain of going to the gym, the pain of eating healthy, the pain of saying no, the pain of doing the work, the pain of journaling, and they're disciplined enough to do all this, or we're going to suffer the pain of being fat, unfit, healthy, low confidence, no self-belief, and probably ultimately dying earlier than we should do. You deserve more than that. So discipline is also a skill. Discipline takes time to develop. And just like all the other things, you must do it forever. Confidence, you don't get confident and stay confident. You have to keep practicing it. You don't get disciplined and stay disciplined. You have to keep practicing it. but it's about progress, not perfection. You don't need to do the work today and all of a sudden become disciplined or confident or have your dream body or have your dream career. You just need to pull it back down. Like I've said, one breath, one brick, one day, one movement, one journal, one workout session at a time, and build it together. But when we can put distraction to one side and we can get rid of all these naggy little things that hold us back, and we can focus on doing the work to get what we said we want because we're disciplined. I don't go there with those people. I don't do those things. I don't make excuses. I don't skip the gym. I don't not track my food. I don't miss journaling. I don't not do my stretching because I'm disciplined. And when you can be disciplined, you will truly get everything that you've ever wanted. And that is when the magic happens. When you can ignore distraction because you have discipline. Because if you don't separate yourself from distraction, distraction will stop you achieving your goals. I guarantee you. And this starts with having clear rules, clear boundaries. Like I said, I don't go there with those people. I don't hang around with them. I don't drink. I don't skip workouts. I don't make excuses. I don't say I'm going to do things and then not do the work. I don't stay up late. I get up early. I don't get pulled away by people who aren't on the same mission as me. Because when you can discipline yourself to stay on the right road and the difficult road, yes, it's hard sometimes, but the road you walk alone is the road that will build your character the most. The most difficult road is what will build your character the most. And it's the most difficult and toughest roads that lead to the most beautiful places. But you have to be willing to walk that road. It's always quiet at the top, isn't it? Look at a mountain, not very many people at the top, loads of people at the bottom. The people that get to the top are the ones that are willing to walk alone. The ones that are willing to say, I don't make excuses. I'm willing to go the hard road to get what I want because I understand that nothing worth having in life will ever be easy. So be willing to walk that road and be willing to walk it alone if you need to. But when we can develop discipline, discipline leads to habits, leads to consistency, it leads to results, it leads to growth. So develop discipline now as the number one key towards you growing as a human and upscaling every single area of your life. Love yourself enough to develop discipline because it is the key to your results. And if you can develop world-class discipline right now, trust me, your future self is going to thank you. I love you all. Have an awesome day.